A deeply unsettling incident out of Haryana's Faridabad has once again brought the conversation surrounding marital distress and mental health to the forefront. A 28-year-old cloth trader died by suicide inside his clothing showroom in Balabgarh on Sunday morning, but it is the final agonizing message he left behind that has sparked widespread outrage. Before taking the extreme step, the young businessman uploaded a harrowing video on his social media page, emotionally detailing months of alleged mental torture and humiliation. In the final video, the visibly distressed businessman claimed that despite bowing to every domestic demand, including all household chores, he faced constant physical assault. He alleged that his spouse completely isolated him from his parents, financially exploited his business earnings, and pushed him over to the edge by filing false police complaints following trivial domestic dispute. The victim's father has since come forward, revealing that while the couple had a love marriage 2 years ago, it was built on coercion. This case adds to a growing and deeply alarming pattern across India, shifting a harsh spotlight into intense psychological distress faced by men in troubled marriages and the alleged weaponization of legal provisions. In December 2024, software engineer Atul Subhash died by suicide, leaving an 81-minute video detailing severe legal harassment that sparked nationwide protests. In 2023, suicides of an IT professional in Hyderabad and a businessman in Indore mirrored this exact tragedy, with both leaving extensive notes begging authorities to investigate the systemic misuse of marital dispute laws. I'm being joined at this point by Dr. Nisha Khanna, who's a marriage counselor as well as a psychologist, and I'm also being joined by Advocate Sukumar I'm being joined by Advocate Sukumar, who's a lawyer with the Supreme Court. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Let's just start with you, sir. What do you really make out of this? This seems to be another agonizing note that's coming out. Do you see this as another unfortunate wedding tragedy unfolding, marriage tragedy unfolding, spousal abuse, or do you see this as gender specific?
Good evening, Sneha and your audience. This tragic incident from Faridabad raises serious legal as well as social concern. For this other part you described the social concerns, let me focus on the legal perspective of this case. What could be, and at this, it is important, just mind it, that it is important to analyze the matter, what sort of legal consequences emerges from this. Firstly, and you have to remember one thing, that these are all allegations today. There is nothing, no evidence collected, nothing, no investigation complete and things like that. We are talking at that stage, so we are not conducting a trial by media.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we are keeping. So what we are only saying that what emerges from this legal. Firstly, there could be about 5 kind of legal concerns. The first one would be that whether this conduct of the wife, the allegations, as per the allegations, conduct of the wife and her family amounts to abatement of suicide under section 108 of Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, which was earlier, as you know, in the IPC 306. For this, the prosecution has to establish that the accused intentionally, accused is the wife and the family of the lady. The prosecution has to establish that she intentionally instigated, aided, or engaged in conduct that drove the deceased to take this extreme step. If it is a mere case of marital discord or ordinary domestic quarrels, etc., this will not qualify for an abatement to suicide. The second point would be, what is the evidentiary value of the Instagram video? For that, video undoubtedly is a very important piece of evidence. But for this to be, corroborating the allegation, the investigating agency must verify whether the video is genuine. That's the first thing, and unedited. Second is whether the video is voluntarily recorded by the victim. The third would be whether the allegations are corroborated by independent evidence, other evidence, this should not be the sole evidence, such as messages, call records, medical records, prior complaints, etc. The third would be what should be the nature of investigation to be conducted by the police. That's most important. The investigation should be fair, impartial, definitely. Police should examine firstly the
Right.
history of the marital relationship and the disputes, if any. If
Right.
there were any false or other criminal complaints already lodged, any other digital evidence,
Okay.
WhatsApp,
No,
any videos,
absolutely fair
etc.
points. Absolutely fair points. Let me just get in Dr. Nisha at this point. Dr. Nisha, isn't this, I don't know, is this about social media? It's about the changing lens. It's about how we're looking at marriages. Increasingly cases of husbands being driven to the extreme extent of taking their lives as well. We've had a couple of instances in the past as well. This seems to be one more. We're not getting into this particular case in terms of its details because, we don't have the other version. We don't know. But at least in terms of what has been alleged in his last video before he took the drastic step, is this a case of marriage going wrong, stress, or is this gender specific?
Ma'am, I would say, I think so. We should not correlate it with gender specific these traits, but any person who is suffering from mental health issues. And I'm telling you, if person is thinking for committing suicide, at the core decided to do, because we deal in every day the patients in the clinic of suicidal thoughts. And I'm telling you, it's their internal struggle. When if any person is having negativistic mindset, person is having depressive or major depression symptoms, or having maybe sometimes the borderline traits or a bipolar traits, when the depression hits at that time, they start thinking negative, and negative cycle is a doom sort of thing. One negative thoughts bring it's like a ant moves one in the lines all together. So same way that negativity also comes into a chain, and one negative thought is equivalent to 17 positive thoughts. So if one person is thinking negative, again getting to that negativity loop.
Right. But
If
Dr.
the
Nisha,
paper-
is
if
it
the person
harder? Is it harder for the male spouse to reach out for help, whether it be psychological help, whether it be
Yes.
counselors' help, whether it be family help? Is it harder for the male spouse than the female spouse?
I would say if you are going through a bad marriage, why not you think of getting out of the marriage or a relationship? You see any cases where the husbands are planning or maybe tried to commit suicide or committed suicide. Why in those cases they were not taking stand, and mental health issues must be there with this person. Maybe I'm not saying the wife must be right. Wife is 100% wrong, but you can't give that much importance to any person in your life that you can thinking of committing suicide. Again, when I deal with the marital disputes, I find most of the time both the parties has issues. Both the parties have clinical symptoms. They need clinical help. You can't say any person who's going to commit suicide must have the very clean and clear history. Again, marital disputes, people have problems. If your wife was torturing you, you can say that don't want to do this. Let's go to a doctor, discuss about these days. Even there are free counseling centers, lot of. And we are spending too much of money on our marriages or our jewelry or our
Right.
dress ups or buying a house. Why can't we spend money on mental health? We are actually blind over this topic of mental health.
I think increasingly as we are progressing as a nation and the times that we are living in, where we are stretched at every level for time, love, is something that one really requires a lot of investment. And I'm not talking about financial investment. I'm talking about the investment of a person, irrespective of which form of marriage they've gone ahead with, whether it's arranged or not arranged. Love is going to be essential. Respect is essential, and I think it works. It's hugely important that one reaches out for any form of counseling if one can. And I would have to end it on this note. I think increasingly now you also have instances where men are also taking the drastic step, and I think that would also require a lot of attention as well. Dr. Nisha Khanna, as well as Advocate Sukumar, thank you so much for joining us.